Hello, friends, and welcome back to Page Chewing Comics and Manga. This is Pick of the Week, issue number 57. So this week I am all alone. My co-host Mike is traveling this week, so it's just me doing a solo episode. So what I thought was, if Mike's gone, and I don't want to do a 10-minute episode with the 5 or 6 books I read, I decided to pick up every number one I could get my hands on. And I decided to keep reading the other series that I have been reading. So it's a mix of number ones and things I have been reading. So as you can imagine, I picked up some books that I just didn't enjoy. I had no idea what was happening. And I shouldn't be surprised, but I was, because I thought, my initial thought was that I'll pick up every book I can get my hands on, regardless of the issue, of the series, of whatever. But I thought, I'm going to be really lost, and I'll just complain for about an hour. So I decided the better route to take is to pick up a bunch of number ones. So that's what we're doing this week. So it's a bunch of number ones along with the other things I have been reading, for a total of 16 books. So we're gonna get right into it. If you're new here, the Pick of the Week is a podcast series that Mike and I have been coming every Wednesday to talk about the books we read the previous week. And at the end of the episode, we both pick our favorite book of the week and discuss what we've read. And we're just getting back into comics, so we try to seek out number ones and new series, new arcs, new creative teams, places we can jump on. And we've started to realize, or at least I have, that I'm not a big fan of capes and cowls. Which, because all the continuity, it's hard to get into some of these books without knowing what's been happening or what happened years ago. So I apologize in advance for the complaining I'm about to do. But, that's what we do here. We just giving you my honest opinion. Thank you for listening. We'll get right into it. The first book I read was Batman: The Last Halloween. Now, I haven't read Long Halloween. I know. It's one of those arcs you just have to read. It's on my shelf. I just haven't gotten to it yet. So I was fine with the story. I thought the story was fine. I was fine with the story. The setup is okay. The thing that bothered me the most was the artwork. It just, in one panel, one character will look a certain way physically, and another panel, the same character will have a different build, will look differently. You can't really recognize them. So it's inconsistent. And the art style I wasn't a really big fan of. I like more detailed art, bold lines, really crisp, and it just didn't catch me. The art I just couldn't get into. The setup is all right, but I don't know why I've been, whenever there's Robin around and Batman has Robin by his side, I just wonder, why do you have a child as a sidekick? I know that's silly to think about that now, like 100 years later. But I think I'm going to go ahead and jump off of this one, because I should probably read The Long Halloween first. It may hit me differently if I know what some of these things are referencing. I mean, if you know the Batman universe, I felt like I wasn't lost. I think it'll be the full impact if I read The Long Halloween first. Now, the next one is Black, White, and Bloodshot #1, Director's Cut by Valiant Comics. It kind of cracks me up when I see the director's cut on these books now. They sell them in like, it's like you feel like, you feel weird buying them. They're in the bags and everything. So Bloodshot is always a character I've wanted to like. I want to get into him. He feels like a different version of the Punisher, kind of like this, superhuman version of the Punisher. He looks cool. I mean, he does the colors. And I have to admit, there seems to be a trend of these books using the art is black and white with blood red accents. And I've seen a few books do this recently, and I have to admit, I think it looks pretty cool. I think the novelty isn't lost on me just yet. So I kind of like it. I like the art. I like the style. Now, the art, there's a few different stories. This is an anthology series featuring Bloodshot, and I'm not sure it's the best character to feature in an anthology series. It feels like these anthology series are already hard to kind of get traction, and I don't know that focusing on one character like this is the best choice. Regardless, they were pretty forgettable. All of them were, and yeah, I just not something I'll buy again. The artwork and the different stories was very different, which is good, I guess. In an anthology, you want a different kind of feeling to each one and make them distinctive and make them stand out. But for me, it just didn't work. So unfortunately, I'll have to bow out of this one. The next one I want to talk about is Convert number 2. This is by Image Comics. And after the first issue, I really liked the setup. It was a team of researchers is on this distant planet, and I think there are 4 or 5 of them. All of them but one die. We don't really know why. And the sole survivor is really unprepared, struggling to stay alive, trying to traverse this distant planet he knows nothing about, and trying to manage to stay alive as long as he can. At the end of the first issue, he is found by the native species on the planet, and I thought it would go a different direction, but in issue 2, it doesn't go the direction I thought, which is a good thing. And I do kind of like where they're taking it, because it doesn't feel like everything is as it seems. There are some things happening that they seem to be befriending him, but I don't know what exactly is happening. There seems to be some traditions or some kind of ritual that's happening that I don't think our main character knows what exactly was happening, and we don't know either. But we do get a glimpse into the future of this planet and how different it looks. So I kind of like that we have an endpoint and we see where we are now, and we know kind of where we're going to end, at least on this planet. Whether or not that character will be there or not is a whole different matter. But so far, I think this one's off to a good start. The next one I tried is Creep Show by Image Comics. This is another anthology series. Seems to be a lot of them recently. Now, most of the time in an anthology series, I'll find one story that I'll like, but this one I don't know that is my style of horror. The presentation in each of the stories was fine. I didn't mind the artwork in any of them. They felt like drive-in stories. Like this kind of the feeling I got, like I don't say slashers, but they felt very surface level. They don't really dive deep on themes and make you think. And those are the kinds of stories that I really dug my teeth into. These felt very surface level. I couldn't really dig my teeth into any of them, and all of them, I forgot pretty much everything about them already. So unfortunately, not something I will buy again. The next one I picked up is a series that I have been reading. This is Damaged People 2. This is by Alien Books. Now, I really enjoyed the first issue, and I wasn't disappointed with the second. Now, the premise of Damaged People appeals to my black heart. I mean, we follow damaged people and their journey. So each issue is a different person. Now, in this issue, we follow Jessica, who is a teenager, I believe in the 90s, and she likes to collect bugs, and she befriends a local man who helps her. And the story goes from there. So we do learn lessons along the way. These awful events that happen to Jessica and the friend. And this one I thought had had some really great moments in it. And at the end, it does make you think about life and things we go through and how it changes us and how it changes our outlook and how the people we meet send us on different paths, whether they're good or bad or really bad or really good for that matter. But yeah, all that was, I like that idea that at the end of the issue, it feels like we have depth, we have development, we've gone somewhere. You feel like you've gone on a journey by the end of each issue, which isn't as easy to do. The only complaint I had on this one, and I'm not sure if it's really a complaint, is the artwork looks really wonky at times. It almost looks like the characters' bodies are twisted in a way. And I'm not saying the AI was used, but it does have that look, and it may just be me because I'm always on the outlook on the on the lookout now for AI artwork, just because I think all of us are a little we're keep our eyes peeled for that sort of thing. So it might just be me looking for those things. It may not be AI art, and if it's not, I don't mean any disrespect. Some of the artwork felt a little strange. So yeah, that's that one. But yeah, overall, I liked it, and I'm really liking this series. It reminds me a lot of, gosh, the Maxwell Prince series. Geez, I'm going to draw a blank. Reminds me a lot of that series. His series that's going on now that I think is on a break. But so the next one I read is Dick Tracy #5. This is by Mad Cave. Now this series has been riding the line of keeping Dick Tracy's fundamental values and the character itself kind of frozen in time, but still modernizing the world around him. And they've been riding that line pretty good. I feel like we've been given these more, I hate saying modern, more adult themes. We've kind of, the character's grown, but his core is still the same. He's still Dick Tracy. Now, this one was a little bit of a letdown because it's the end of it feels like the end of an arc, or the first arc. And we've gone on this journey from the first issue to the fifth issue to the end of the fifth issue. And at the end of the fifth issue, it just feels like a trailer for the rest of the series. We don't really get closure. I understand that they're setting up the bigger world. It feels like we're setting up for a really long series, for an ongoing series. But it felt, I don't know. It felt, we've been beating this drum the whole time throughout every issue, building tension, building the world, building the danger, building this political intrigue, these double crosses, these corruption from the police to the politicians, and developing all these things that are happening in this world. And then at the end, it felt like a whoopee cushion. Did not feel good. So it was a bit of a bummer. But I will probably still continue because I think this series is onto something. I think it could be good. Now, the next one I'm going to discuss is Drawing Blood #6. This is by Image Comics. This is another series that I've been enjoying. It's been a little up and down. The last couple of issues have been a little bit down for me. I've kind of been disappointed with the last couple. I think with this story that we're hearing someone's experiences. We're hearing someone's story. And sometimes it feels very close to reality. It feels very rooted in reality. It feels like these things could happen. And there's other times when it feels like they're sensationalized a little bit, or they're exaggerated, which I guess is fine. You can't tell a story straight because it may not be as interesting for a reader if it's just the straight story. So you have to change some things to make the story a little bit more tantalizing or more exciting. So I get that. But sometimes it feels very grounded, and then sometimes it feels silly. And I don't know that it's really hasn't found that balance yet of being silly and poking fun and also being very serious. But in this one, I felt like this was another up issue because overall, by the end, I did feel like we are getting, like I said, more development. The character's growing, the character's evolving. He still can't get out of his own way, but we're moving along. So I did think that overall this was a good issue, and I will continue with this one as well. The next one I picked up, I'm not sure, if not for this week, I would have never picked this up. This is Lobo Cancellation Special #1. It's by DC Comics. This is basically a long issue of Lobo, being ridiculous, saying ridiculous things, and just doing ridiculous things, and lots of ridiculousness. Not my cup of tea. I can see some readers really enjoying this if they like Lobo, or really bombastic and out there kind of, wild stories. I think they might like. Did have some moments of humor, and yeah, I think it was okay. Not something I would continue, and I definitely don't think Lobo's for me. If this is the Lobo that we're going to get in an ongoing, if he is getting an ongoing. All right, so the next one is One for Sorrow #1, Ashcan. This is by Distillery. Now, I had to look up what Ashcan meant because I wasn't sure what it meant, and this book is fairly short. It's basically the impression I get is that this is like a throwaway. This is to kind of for publication rights to publish something. That's the kind of the definition that I had from Google. What I gather from this is that Ashcan in this sense is kind of like a trailer, like a preview, like a taste of what's to come. So in this one, I did really enjoy the world, the setting. It's based in the early 1900s. I think it is based in 1900. So we get like this gas lamp, Jack the Ripper sort of feel, and we follow a woman and a man who are running this con, who may not be a con. And these seances, they're charging people to do these seances and contacting people that, listening to spirits and listening to the dead and contacting dead loved ones and things like that. So I think it's a con, but there's some signs pointing out that maybe it's not. There may be something else happening here. Overall, I did like it. I thought the art was fine, and there is another story of a man in like a plague mask, and there are some supernatural things happening there. So there is supernatural elements to it. I'm just not sure how it all ties in just yet, but overall, I liked the setup. So something I'll definitely be checking out when it's when the first issue or when the issues start releasing. And anything from Distillery, I'll check out. I think they're taking lots of chances, and it kind of reminds me of like an A24 type of thing, where they're trying to do things that are different and kind of doing off the wall things. I'm a fan of that for sure. The next one is Revelation #1. This is by Mad Cave Studios. Now, one of my pet peeves is when in a movie or a book, when there's a really high intensity, just really suspenseful moment, and someone makes a joke. Someone makes a stupid joke, tries to throw in a one-liner that's supposed to, I guess, lighten the mood in some way or be funny. And for me, it just completely kills the tension. It completely kills all the build up to this moment when somebody just makes a dumb joke. And that happens several times in this one, and it just killed the suspense, killed the tension for me. It's annoying. I know some people like it, but it's just not something I'm a fan of. It just not a fan. So in this one, we get the setup on this one is there's these two young women, two girls who are twins, and they are separated at birth, or not at birth, but when they're young, they ended up getting separated. One of them goes off to work for this secret society as an assassin, going around the world and killing people for various reasons. We start to dig into we come to find out that someone had hacked, gotten information about the secret society and more about the inner workings of it. And we make some discoveries, and we find out that things aren't exactly what we thought they were. So we do get a twist at the end. Other than that, it is very run by the numbers. There's not a whole lot of, not a whole lot of new things happening, unfortunately. And yeah, it seems a little, it kind of fell flat for me. So unfortunately, not something I will be continuing on. It feels all very familiar and not in a good way. All right, the next one is Stand Still #2. This is by Image Comics. So the setup for this one is that there's a device that allows its user to freeze time. Everything around them freezes, but they are able to move around and still function, which is pretty neat. I think, what would you do with that kind of power? If you're listening to this, in the comments or send us a message, let me know what you would do with this kind of device, because you can have a lot of fun with it. You do lots of crazy things with that kind of power. Now, the people who created the device come to realize that it's been stolen, and panic sets in that the device is missing. So the race is on to replicate the device to battle whoever has it, because the person who has it is basically unstoppable. There's not a whole lot you can do. So if someone steals this kind of device, I don't think they would want people to. I don't think they would want people to know that much about it or be able to create another one to stop him. So if I was someone who made that device, I'd be a little bit worried, and they are. So the man who stole it is called Riker, and we know his name, and he is in possession of the device. He continues to go and cause more mayhem. Is he working for someone? Has he gone rogue? Is he just having fun? What's going on? Is there something else happening, or is he just working on his own? We don't really know yet. Who stole the device? It may not have been him. Does he have a plan? Does he not have a plan? We don't know. But I do like this book. I do like the art. I think it's off to a great start. So a big fan of this one. Now the next one is Magic of the Fifth Order #1. This is by Dark Horse Studios. Now this one is, I saw Mark Millar's name on this one, and I thought, okay, I have to check it out, because Mark Millar is one of those authors that even when I don't really enjoy something, it still has its moments of, okay, that was pretty good. You know what I mean? It still has those moments even when I don't completely enjoy it. So in this one, a woman is playing in a playground with her young son. The stranger walks up with his eyes closed, with a hood on, and beats her with a bat, takes her son, and that's the first few pages of the book. And things get a lot weirder from there. We get into the occult, magic spells, magic, demons. It runs the gamut of a lot of different things. And I think that that's another one that's off to just a great start. I think we start to dig in. There's some characters that are being introduced. We get just enough information on them to make you want to go back to revisit them, to learn more about them. And yeah, all of it is the setup is really, really great. So I really like this one. I thought it was really good start. Not easy to do, to make a #1 that really catches you, but this one did it. Now, the next one that I picked up, if not for this week, I would have never picked this one up. This is Daredevil Venom War #1. It's by Marvel Comics. And so a dead or not dead Elektra and Daredevil fight a bunch of symbiotes for about 30 plus pages. Why? I don't know. I don't know why. I don't really know what's happening. I'm sure it's a tie-in to a bigger event that is tied in with another 20 books that I won't read. So I have no idea what's happening here. Again, this one, the art was inconsistent. There were some panels that was really detailed, and others that it just felt unfinished. And overall, I just had no idea what was going on. There's really not an explanation. It feels like a one-off. We don't really get a whole lot. Elektra has some inner dialogue that was kind of interesting, I guess, but overall, I just again, I'm not really invested in these characters enough to just jump into something like this and not know what the background. So I know what some of you are saying is like, why did you bother reading it if you don't know? But I just wanted to give it a shot. I'm just trying it out. But unfortunately, not for me. Okay, so the next one is Violator #1. This is by Image Comics. Now, if you've listened to the show, you've heard me complain about too many Spawn books. Why are there so many Spawn books? The character's been running thin. Now, I'm going to sound like a hypocrite because I thought a Violator origin story is pretty cool. I think it's a good idea. It's 4 issues long. So it's a character that has always been eye-catching, even back in the 90s when it was introduced. It's a cool character. It's a neat-looking character. You know, it definitely catches your attention. So getting a background on it, I think, is a pretty good idea. I think it's a fun character to play with. Now, you can probably guess that it's tied into biblical stories. The background on Violator is tied into some biblical stories, and I like the. It's not exactly the most original idea ever. I do, it seems obvious to tie into those kind of stories and make him part of that story. So it's not exactly all that creative or original, but it makes sense. So I did enjoy the story. What I didn't really enjoy is the art. The art felt very lacking detail, I guess is the best way to put it. It just didn't feel complete. It felt very. I can't really sink my teeth into artwork that doesn't have some detail in it. Doesn't have boldness. Doesn't catch your eyeballs. Doesn't pull you in. It doesn't really grab you. And this artwork just didn't grab me. It just didn't pull me in. It just didn't do it for me. The story was fine. Overall, it was fine. I'm going to keep reading the series and hope for the best. I think there's some potential here. If anything, I'll be entertained seeing how they fit in Violator's origin story to these biblical stories. So overall, I'm excited about the book. I think it's pretty neat idea anyway. Now the next one is Violent Flowers. This is by Image Comics. I really liked Maria Lovette's last book that we read, Crave, her last series, Crave. I thought it was dripping with social commentary, with lots of different themes and ideas and thought provoking story elements. I mean, I thought it had everything in it. Thought it did a really great job. I thought there was a lot of small details that it really played with in the art that if you can just go through and read it, but if you go through and read it carefully, I think you'll pick up a lot more than you would if you just kind of skim through it. I think if you really pay attention, there's lots of detail in there, lots of great ideas. Now, Violent Flowers, I went into this one expecting something similar. Went into it expecting something in that same vein, or at least something that I can really sink my teeth into. And I instead, it feels like a love letter to the vampire character, the vampire lore, kind of the vampire tales. It felt like we're tying into. It's like a love letter to all those different elements and bringing characters into it and kind of developing a world. So it was fine. It has that romanticism. It has that horror. But it just didn't do it for me for the first issue. I just didn't really care what was happening, and it just feels very surface level. But that's so far. I do have faith in Maria Lovette that it's going to have something to grab onto eventually. So I'm hoping that it'll work out. So far, though, it felt very, very one note, and it just didn't, like I said, didn't pull me in, unfortunately. So yeah, that's the first issue. But I'll keep reading. Ooh, that's been a lot of books in 28 minutes. Okay. Now the pick of the week this week is an interesting one because I had a few other books that I had kind of tabbed as my pick, and I read all the books on Sunday, and I cannot get this last one out of my head. It is haunting me, so it has to be the pick because if it keeps me thinking for that long, how can I not pick it as the pick? It's stuck with me. I'll explain more in a minute. This is Hello Darkness number 3. This is by Boom Studios. Now, I originally picked up the series after Mike told me that there was a story with Becky Cloonan and Garth Ennis together. It's like, how can I say no to that? So I had to go pick it up. The first entry in the series, this is an anthology series, and Becky Cloonan and Garth Ennis' story is The War, and it's maybe, I don't know, 5 to 8 pages or so, give or take. It's part of various other stories every month or every few weeks. So we get bits and pieces every week, and then we get other stories mixed in. Most of them are not ongoing; they're just one-offs. So The first one was so. I wasn't a huge fan of the first entry into the war. The second entry I loved. This last entry I loved again. I love that we're playing with this end of the world apocalypse, nuclear destruction. Where do we go? Do we stay put? You know, if shit really hits the fan, and war is about to, and the missiles are about to be fired. Where do we go? Do we stay put? Do we run? Do we hide? Do we just pull out your best bottle of whiskey and and say goodbye and just, have some fun in your last few moments before you're killed by a nuclear blast? So all those ideas are fun, and plus, who will get a golden ticket to get on a plane to go to some bunker in some remote place of the world to be safe? I mean, there's all these different things happening, and I think they are balancing all those different ideas just wonderfully. I really love this end of the world setup. I love kind of setting up these characters and then seeing how they all react differently and how they all have different goals. Now, that's not the reason. No, the war is not the reason I picked this for my pick of the week. It is not the reason. So the reason I picked it is because of another story. It's called Mukbang. I'm probably mispronouncing that. Now, it's a story about competitive eating on YouTube, and it's called WeTube in the story because it is, you can't use YouTube probably because copyright or whatever, but it's definitely, commentary on YouTube and social media and the the idea of this all these different competitive eating people, and it doesn't have to be just competitive eating. It can be various other niches. It could be anything, but just the lengths people will go on social media for attention and for likes and for to be the best, to be the most viewed, to be most liked, to do all these different things. And this is from someone who's sitting here on a microphone in a room by myself, talking to a microphone about comic books. So, I mean, I'm not going to point any fingers. I'm just saying it's good commentary. So we'll leave it at that. Anyway. And I love beard meats food as much as the next guy. So I'm guilty too of consuming this kind of content. I like seeing someone stuff a bunch of food down their mouth. So anyway, the story is about two kids who have their own channels, who are competing with each other. What starts off as a friendly competition very rapidly turns very, very dark. To give you an idea, and I won't spoil the story for you, to give you an idea, it starts off with them eating their own hair and nails. Then it goes to them eating their own fingers, cutting off their own fingers and eating them on camera for content. That's where it starts. Okay, that's where it starts, and it goes from there. That's just the beginning. So if you think I spoiled it for you, I didn't. That's just the beginning. This story goes places that I did not think it would go. Did not think it would go to these places, but I am scarred. I am scarred by some of the events in this story. It really got to me, and things don't get to me like that very often. But there is some shit burned in my brain now that I cannot scrub out, that is stuck there, that is just it's one of those stories that just gets his claws into you, and it just sticks with you. And I've been thinking about it for days now. It really messed with me. It really did. And it doesn't happen very often. I can read and watch some really dark stuff and it not affect me. It's very, very rare that something bothers me this much. This one got to me. But I will say, if you have a weak stomach, if what I described is what they're doing to compete with each other, if that makes your stomach turn, do not read the story. Steer clear. But if you're like me, who can handle most stuff, and it sounds interesting, and you like this kind of depravity, then check it out, because I think it's worth a read, and it'll keep you thinking about it. I'll say that. Okay. That was my 16 books this week. I thought it'd take me about an hour. only took me a little over half an hour. So thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for hanging out with me this week. I'm all by myself. It feels weird, but Mike will be back, I believe, next week. So we'll be back to our normal routine, and I'll stop picking up books like Daredevil that I know I won't like, and I won't bother, and I won't I won't bother you by complaining about it. I'm sure I'll find something I'll complain about, but I won't be like this. And I'll go in thinking I'll like it instead of just buying it just to be fun. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to issue number 57. If you would like to get in touch with us, please go and check out our forums at pagechewing.com. There's a link that says visit our forums, register there, and I will approve all the new members. Sometimes it takes me a little bit. I just have to make sure that, all the bots and all the troublemakers stay out. But otherwise, I'll approve your membership. Come by and say hello to us. We're also looking for bloggers. So if you'd like to blog about comics you're reading or books you're reading or movies you're watching, contact me there on the forum. Ask me about being part of our WordPress team. We're just looking for anyone as often as you would like to make some blog posts just for fun, no pressure. So until next time, we will talk to everyone very soon. I hope you're having a fantastic week. Hope you're enjoying your comics. Come by the forum and come and tell us about the comics you're reading and what your pick of the week was. We'd love to hear about it. We will talk to everyone very, very soon.